What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Investing Bros. It is Tuesday, September 12th, and we've got a great show lined up for you guys today. Literally right after our show is over here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gary Gensler will be speaking before the Senate to the Banking Committee. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more. We'll have to break it down tomorrow even further as far as what he says, but that is going to be big news. Also, we have some big news for anyone maybe fresh out of college who still has student loans to pay off. It looks like, guys, that's coming back in October. Want to hear what you guys think about that. But the biggest story of this morning, T. Shroom, go ahead and share my screen. Bitcoin price, after falling below support yesterday and retesting 25.2 as resistance, there was a pump in price early this morning where the price of Bitcoin actually made it back above $26,000. We actually peaked out somewhere about 26,300. Now the question comes in. Is this something that is marking a fresh new rally, or is this a fake out? Make sure you stick around for the show when we talk about that more in the TA and we talk about in discussion. I want to know what you guys think, though, also as well. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Do you think that Bitcoin is about to sustain a new rally, maybe back up towards $28,000 to $29,000, or are we about to see prices drop once again? With that said, though, while you guys are excited about the show, smash that like button. And if you are new here, thank you so much for choosing Investing Bros this morning. We come live every single weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Times. And with the exception of last Saturday, we did take that one off. We also have a Saturday morning show at 11 a.m. You don't want to miss it, but you got to make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get access to all of our content. I am joined this morning by my amazing co-host from down in Florida, Mr. T. Shroom. How you feeling this morning, T. Shroom?
Well, I'm feeling better than I deserve, Tim. I'm on the mend. I'm still not feeling 100%, but I'm feeling a lot better. Got my mojo back a little bit more this morning. Tuesday, 2 days into the week could have something to do with that. Yeah. So I'm excited. I've got a quote of the day here for us. It's a good one, and it's from someone I don't think we've had a quote from yet. So let's get into it. Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. It's a lesson that Kanye West kind of took the wrong way, unfortunately, but I think it's something that if taken the right way, you can really benefit quite a bit.
Yeah, that was an interesting. The quote was great. I actually 100% agree with the quote. I don't know how we took it that direction, but that's good. True. Sometimes, here's the thing. Sometimes you got to push yourself to your limits to find out how far you can actually go, and sometimes you go a little too far, and you need to pull it back. But good quote, good quote. By the way, shout out to Diane11CA, who just became a member. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. Speaking of members, though, check out all of those red badges in chat. That means you guys have been members for over 2 months. Thank you for your continued support. You guys know the drill now. This is the new thing. We have made a compromise with you guys as we're going to be jumping into the content here in just a second. You guys get us above 100 likes by the end of the show, and we will do a couple of names read towards the end. That is our compromise instead of doing them early. But with that said, T. Shroom, anything else before we jump in and start our economic outlook this morning?
Anything else? Yeah, we're going to have a great show. Let's get to the economic outlook.
Well, there's one more thing I completely forgot. So T. Shroom and I are talking this morning, guys. I'm going to start a poll right now, so bear with me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so would you guys prefer to have us cover some of the big stories first? I'm going to put this in chat as a poll. Stories or TA first? Would you guys rather do the stories first, or would you rather just continue to do the TA first and then jump into the stories on the back half of the hour? Yesterday, T-Shroom did a phenomenal job while I was in the meeting, and I noticed that it seemed like the show flowed really, really well covering some of those big stories. But we want to make sure that you guys are happy with however we run the show. So let us know what you want to chat. Got to finish typing. It's hard to talk and type at the same time, T-Shroom.
It is.
Have you ever practiced that skill?
I have. Yeah. I have talked and typed at the same time. But guys, we noticed that people kind of liked, at least the concurrent viewership kind of data showed that folks didn't necessarily hate the fact that we did the news first yesterday, as we had to pivot kind of around Tim's unexpected meeting that popped up. So we're kind of wondering, hey, is that maybe something that we and we're seeing stories.
I mean,
right.
a lot of stories. The poll is leaning stories first. The chat is leaning stories first, with the exception of Crypto Trade saying, say my name first, Tim. So there you go. I said it, but he has a red badge, so he gets that one. Let's do this. Today, you know what? We're going to try it out today because overwhelmingly you guys are saying it. We're going to get in our economic outlook, then we're going to do our stories, and we'll do TA on the back half of the show. We're still going to do a lot of it. So don't worry about us not covering the charts. We're absolutely going to do it, but we'll talk about some of those stories and have those discussions first. Let's start off, though, T-Shroom, over on the economic calendar. Of course, again, reminding you guys, not a lot necessarily happening today other than that Gary Gensler interview with the Senate. But then tomorrow we will get our core inflation and inflation numbers, both month over month and year over year. Thursday, we got the PPI month over month, as well as retail sales that are expected at this point to be coming in lower. But there's a chance that gets affected, especially with the news we have coming out about there's a chance that gets changed with the news coming out about student loan debt. On Friday, we also will get the Michigan consumer sentiment. That is going to be very interesting data. Expected at this point to kind of be hovering around the same place it was last time, but we'll see how that one comes to be. Let's take a look at possibly one of the biggest things of the day, liquidations. You guys can see here, Bitcoin, it's looking green, which means it had a lot of liquidations. Over $100 million of Bitcoin were liquidated yesterday. 68 million of those were longs that were liquidated. 31 million of those were shorts. But you'll notice when we go to the 12-hour chart, it very quickly becomes red. Within the last 12 hours, $26.5 million worth of shorts were liquidated. By the way, we're just going to spoil this. We're going to cover this on the charts as well. But in case you guys were looking for some sort of storyline to explain why Bitcoin pumped last night, there is no storyline. It was a simple manipulative move where there was just way too many shorts overextended, and traders and whales took advantage of it and took that money back. But we'll talk more about what that means for the future later on in the video. Let's keep moving on here. Well, actually, Ethereum here. Let's go 24 hours again. Ethereum coming in with 20 million longs were liquidated versus $11 million worth of shorts were liquidated. Solana, not a lot, but it does turn out red this morning. 2.88 million shorts versus only 1.6 million longs liquidated. Those are the big ones today. Let's keep moving on, though. Truflation ticking slightly up back to 2.7 this morning. Not a big move necessarily, but it is moving back to the upside. Nothing affecting our CME futures tool. So we're still sitting at 93. I feel like we've been stuck here at 93 for a while now. Big question here. It does still look like June is the expectation for the first rate cut. No expectations for any more hikes at this point. Again, we hear from Jerome Powell in the FOMC meeting about a week from tomorrow, so that will be very interesting. It'll also be interesting to see what those CPI numbers look like tomorrow morning. Let's keep moving on here. Crypto Fear and Greed Index did not get the memo because they didn't know yet that Bitcoin is about to rally by more than $1,000. Fear is down to 30. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not seen 30 on Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index since all the way back here in January of 2023. So I'm going to go ahead and say here, let's just take a quick look at the charts. This isn't the TA section just yet, but I do want to take a look at the charts to give you a bullish perspective here. This is actually bullish. This is one of the reasons why I'll continue to believe that the bottom is in January, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about price action back here at 16,600. So back then our fear and greed was at 30. Right now, when we printed that 30, we were probably hovering around 25.2, give or take. That's a big divergence there, obviously, with our crypto fear and greed index being at the same level, but the price action ticking to the upside. That is a good sign. Doesn't mean that we can't go any further to the downside. It just means that that is a bullish sentiment for long-term bull markets. Let's keep moving on, though, and take a look at our coin market cap open of the day. Let me refresh this. Here we go. Taking a look at the top 20. Bitcoin, we're going to talk about this in the TA section as well. Bitcoin dominance is ticking up and just broke some key resistance. What does that mean? We'll talk about that later in the show. 1.67% to the upside for Bitcoin in the last 24 hours versus now you're starting to see Ethereum only up 0.77. That's obviously one of the biggest thing that restricts Bitcoin dominance, and Bitcoin outpacing them by almost a full percentage in the last 24 hours. That's big. BNB up about the same as Bitcoin, 1.7 or so. XRP about up 1%. Cardano up 1.7. Dogecoin up 1.8. Solana up 2%. Let's see. Toncoin so far, the biggest one, up 2.2%. Anything else bigger than that in the top 20? It does not look like it. Let's take a look at biggest gainers and biggest losers. Render takes the lead this morning, up 8% in the last 24 hours. Optimism also up almost 7%. Let's see. Injective is about 6.16%. Anything else big? Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, of course, are up too as well. You expect that when you see Bitcoin up. Stacks up 4%. XLM up 3.89%. So good green day for altcoins out here. Let's look at the biggest losers. Quant, the biggest loser at 2.5%. Near Protocol as well, about 2.5%. Here we go. ApeCoin once again in the red. Sorry, DZ. Someday it'll turn green again, Lord willing. That is looking like our market cap. A lot of green in the last 24 hours, a couple of red, but mostly green. But today, instead of moving into our technical analysis, let's go back to BroCam here.
Let's do it.
Room. The chat has spoken, and the chat wants to talk stories first today. Make sure you guys go ahead and smash the like button if you guys are enjoying the stream. And again, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. With that said, though, we do have some good, juicy headlines. T-Shroom, take us away.
We want to get into the headlines?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, before we do that, we do have a trivia question, a little factoid of the day that the elves have prepared for us. So let's go ahead and get over to that, which is, what company did Kadena start in? Is it A, JP Morgan, B, Circle, C, PayPal, or D, Verizon? Tim, I'm going to throw it to you. What company, just off the bat, which one do you think it was?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards A or B.
Okay.
But again, these are good, deep questions. I've never looked into these details. So I'm gonna go with Circle.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards Circle.
He's leaning towards Circle. Okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go with my gut. We're gonna go with Circle. What was Circle? A or B? I see some people are saying B, some people are saying C. Indie Rock Crypto says I don't know.
Some people are saying go back to the question. Why did you go away
go
from the question so quickly, T-Shroom?
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, B.
I'm sorry.
I'm going with B.
Okay. Again,
have any of the right answers ever been D?
That's not.
Is that like a default? Like the elf making this list just throws in a junk answer on D and calls it a day?
Tim, you can't do TA on these questions. You are trying to do TA on something. Right. There is just no
a lot
TA.
of A's. A lot of people saying A in chat. So that was my second choice, but I'm sticking with B. I'm going to stick with B. By the way, 178 people in chat. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are joining us right as we're jumping in our stories. Hit the like button.
Yeah.
T-Shroom. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Well, we're going to start over here with Gary Gensler decries wide-ranging non-compliance in crypto ahead of the oversight testimony. That, again, is starting right at the end of this show. So this is the warm-up prequel to the show. It's going to be a show, basically. The securities law in the U.S. don't need to be touched to accommodate crypto because the vast majority of crypto tokens likely meet the investment contract test. Gary's suggesting there, obviously, a nudge towards the Howey test that this article goes on to describe. That's his position, right? Which is an extreme position, and it's also a position that contradicts the outcome of the SEC versus Ripple case. And guys, I wanted to show you a clip from last year. It might not even have been last year. I don't know what time frame this was, but this was the last time that Gary went to the Senate Banking Committee, and let's see how it went for him.
Is Ether a commodity or a security?
Without speaking to any one.
I know you've repeatedly said you're not going to speak to one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin. So I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12,000. If there's a group of entrepreneurs in the
asking about one.
The public is anticipating a profit based on the...
I'm asking a specific question, Chair Gensler. I said this in private. This should be no shock to you. I'm asking this question. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
And again, it depends on the facts and the law, and if there's a group of individuals...
I'm asking you about the facts and the law sitting in your seat and the judgment you are making.
And so, Mr. Chair, I think you would not want me to prejudge because I'm also...
But you have prejudged on this.
Getting 30% off
Awesome.
your McDonald's order.
McDonald's ad. There we go.
Yeah. So,
Start your morning right.
Tim, do you remember that clip? And it's circulating.
I
It looked
do.
like that was
I
April
do.
18th of 2022 is when that clip was. So,
Yeah, I remember that. You know, you gotta love a good grilling of Gary Gensler. I loved how he just didn't let him weasel out of any answers. Gary tried his very best to be political as he could and not answer the question, but it was a very simple question. And to be honest, like, I understand why some people answer things like that. I guess, you know, their lawyers probably tell them to do that. But it is one of the most frustrating things in the world to me when you ask people simple yes or no questions and they make it sound like you just asked them the most complicated trigonometry question ever in existence. And it's like, no, like, this is a simple yes or no, man. Just say yes or no.
yeah.
And yeah. But Ada Ace says that was glorious. It absolutely was glorious. Indie Rock Crypto said he watched it live. So yeah. I'm hoping we see another similar thing. You know, you never know. Obviously, if he was talking before Congress, there's a lot more people in Congress who dislike him than the Senate. But there's enough in the Senate that also dislike him. As long as Elizabeth Warren, Auntie Beth, doesn't get to keep the platform the longest, there's a good chance we get some more good clips out of Gary Gensler today.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. We'll be definitely taking a look at that. Some of the things I'm looking forward to is that exact same question being asked: is Ethereum a commodity? Is it a security? You know, and seeing, you know, Gary squirm under that question. Again, it's still not clear exactly what his intentions are, what his motivations are, what his incentives are to be as ambiguous and trying to set policy by enforcement. You know, that's what we've seen from the SEC under Gary. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what he says in that banking committee today, later on, right after this show. Well, guys, we want to keep moving here. Tim, did you have anything else to kind of say about in anticipation for that?
No, again, I'm interested to see what it is. I have a small fear it ends up becoming a nothing burger where it's soft questions about other things. But I really hope, you know, more stuff comes to light about what they've been doing. I mean, they've lost a lot of lawsuits recently, so hopefully that's part of this. You know, we had that conversation here, like 2 weeks ago about the analogy of selling cookies, and the man hasn't sold cookies in over 2 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully they ask him about that.
Yep. Yeah. Hopefully, you know, why aren't you doing your job?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's keep moving. We got a little bit of more of a economic story here next up, which is from this is the Kobiski letter. So, student loan payments are set to resume in October for the first time since 2020. There are now a total of 45 million people in the U.S. with student loans and 1.6 trillion of student loans outstanding. The average monthly student loan payment is roughly $200. This means roughly $19 billion in consumer spending will be subtracted every month. Roughly $100 billion per year will be subtracted from consumer spending, mainly with an impact on younger consumers. Another large shift in consumer spending is coming, and then here's a graph. By the way, guys, this was brought to our attention yesterday by Army Piper. You know, he's kind of keeping his pulse on some of the things that we don't, trying to cover all our bases here. But this is the number of student loan borrowers by age group, and as you can see, you know, there's quite a bit of data here to extrapolate, and it is going to be those younger folks who are going to be hit the hardest, it looks like, as the under 30, that green figure does seem to be kind of the majority there. So, you know, the question now is going to be, you know, with what is it, 61% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, are all of these student loans just going to get defaulted on? What does that look like? How does Biden's, you know, attempt to try to get these student loans paid off, that psychological shift in the American concept of debt, how is that going to play a role? Tim, I know you don't have all the answers, but kind of what are your thoughts here as we move into this deadline for student debt to go back into effect?
Well, I don't even echoing what you kind of were just saying. It's not even just that, you know, whatever the percentage is, that high percentage of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. It's also some of the data we've seen recently that that income is going down while spending is going up. What's the only logical conclusion of that? More people are using credit cards to pay for everything. So you don't just have these people now going to have these massive, you know, student loan debts to pay off. they are putting everything on credit cards. And I can just go ahead and tell you right now, younger age groups like from 20 to 40 are way more likely to abuse and overuse credit cards than people that are more experienced and have more life under their belt. So I'm seeing this. It's going to be a double whammy for a lot of people that have student loan debts. They more than likely don't just have student loan debts. They also have credit card debt they got to pay off. So that's the first thing I have to say. The second thing is, as much as this sucks, by the way, I am in this boat. I never took a loan, but my wife, Taylor, did. So Taylor and I will have to start renewing some payments off of student loans debt. And it's going to suck. That's one more thing to add to the budget that we got to pay for. However, I'm a big believer, T-Shroom, that people need to take responsibility for the life decisions they make. No one forced Taylor to take student loans. She decided, hey, I want to go after this degree. I need to afford this. I want to do this instead of something else. To do it, I'm going to take student loan debt and I'm going to work to pay it off. Whether or not she took that job, whether or not she ended up continuing that field, she made a decision, and I made the decision to marry her, and I take on her debt. So therefore, I'm going to pay for the decisions that I've made and that Taylor has made, and we're going to make it through. Now, her student debt isn't ridiculous. It's not like I've heard stories, like horror stories of people who like one of my friend's wives became a teacher. All right. Respect to her. Love it. We need great teachers. But let's not pretend that teachers make that much money. T-Shroom, she took $200,000 of debt to become a public school elementary school teacher.
Dang.
That's rough.
Yeah. Dave Ramsey would probably sit back and say,
Yeah.
it's stupid. You need somebody to tell you it's stupid. I need to hear you say it.
It's just one of these things that people think that they can delay, like they can get instant gratification, delay all the negative consequences into the future, and everything's going to be okay until the future catches up with you. I mean, we're looking at that in a large scale here in the United States with the way our government spent money. But now all of these millennials and older Gen Zers are going to have to start paying some consequences of decisions they made. Now, some of you, they were calculated. Some people took student loans, got amazing jobs. This isn't going to hurt them whatsoever because they planned for it. They were ready for it. But listen, like I'm just a big believer that not everything in life goes the way you want, but the number one thing you have to do is take responsibility for your decisions, whether they're good decisions or bad decisions. You reap the consequences of what you do.
Yep. And it's not just like a life lesson here, though, guys. I mean, that part is really important, but this is going to translate into the market. Why? Because it's going to suck liquidity out of the retail space. All these people are going to have $200 extra per month that they're going to have to throw away. They're going to have to throw at the government and say, here's your money back, right? Or if they have private loans at the bank. But the point is that $200 isn't going to go to Starbucks now. It's not going to go to Walmart. It's not going to go to Netflix. And what does that do? It brings those stock prices down, right? The revenue at Starbucks, at Netflix is going to come down as a result of this. It may not be a long-term shock in revenue, but short-term, there's going to be a shock somewhere. And it may not be Netflix. That might not be where they compromise, right? But it could be Nike. It could be, it's going to come from somewhere. It's going to come from somewhere. And you know, you have to imagine that some percentage of that $200 would have gone toward buying Bitcoin, buying crypto. So it is something to consider for sure. More than likely, that's not going to be the case. That's not where those dollars usually would go, in my estimation. They'd probably go more towards, shopping at a Walmart, getting clothes, getting food, of the luxury variety. So anyway, that'll be what one thing to expect is those retail sales probably will be coming down a little bit, and that is going to hit the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Nikes.
Yeah,
we had
got two super chats here, but Piper wraps it up, kind of cleanly.
Yes.
The issue is that there are record numbers of living paycheck to paycheck, and this will force them into default on something like credit card debt. Like I said, that's what we mentioned just a second ago. Like, it's especially for younger people. Again, I'm really worried about younger millennials, older Gen Zers who just have not treated money very responsibly. They probably racked up a bunch of student debt and credit card debt. It sucks. And Piper, you hit it right in the head. Eric Wallen gave super chat. Thank you, Eric Wallen. Said, Tim, why should I pay my student loan if my dollar is going to be worthless in 10 years? Here's the thing. Great point, Eric. You're absolutely right. And I am all about finding ways to legally avoid giving the government a penny over what you need to. So Eric or anyone else, if you can figure out a legal way to not pay the government money, go for it. However, I will never advise, and I'm just not a fan of, even if you disagree, if there's something to be owed, I just firmly believe, like, hey, you follow the law, you do what you need to do until the law becomes something that's like it goes against morality and ethics in general. Like, there are laws that are being passed in this country right now that we're not going to talk about, that I have very strong opinions about why I disagree with them, and I would break the law in a heartbeat. When it comes to taxes or loans, as much as I might disagree with them, there's nothing about them that break a moral code for me. I heavily believe you give to Caesar what is Caesar's, even if Caesar sucks. But hopefully you just find a new Caesar. And that's one of the cool things about the United States is we get to vote, and hopefully our vote still means something. Good question, though, Eric.
Yeah.
Good question.
And I've seen a lot of people in the chat. You guys definitely have some student debt out there. You know, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like we're in a dire situation here. But definitely a lot of folks relating with this story. So we will be tracking that. And yeah, there are those extreme examples of people going to be defaulting, unfortunately. Hopefully it's nobody in our chat, right? But there's definitely going to be Americans out there who are having to pull that trigger and do the old Michael Scott and go declare bankruptcy, which is gonna suck. All right, guys, we got another story here. It's a much more optimistic story for you Tesla holders. I do count myself as one, and I know a lot of people. Matt C. also owns some Tesla. Army Piper in the chat owns some Tesla. Tesla, not a crypto, but they do have Bitcoin, and I believe they have some Doge on their balance sheets. But Tesla up 10% on prediction its AI chips will outperform NVIDIA's. That is a huge, huge statement. And I guess there's some evidence to back this because Morgan Stanley has upgraded their stock on this prediction right here. So let's get into some of the details. So Dojo, Tesla's custom supercomputing system for training its self-driving cars, as a potential catalyst for growth, possibly adding $500 billion to the company's value through faster adoption of its mobility, robotaxi, and network service. So right off the bat, I mean, you kind of get the gist here. Somehow, it's gone under the radar, but I'm sure, true, like, deep Tesla fans know this already. But Tesla has been developing AI computer chips, for their cars. And it looks like they may be trying to make a play of maybe taking them out of their cars and putting them in gaming computers, putting them in computers, for the consumer and for, businesses to be able to, render AI files and compute for AI. So there's not a ton to talk about here in terms of crypto, other than, if Tesla really hits this out of the park, they'll have more money to buy Bitcoin. But ultimately, this is a good move. A lot of folks who are interested in crypto also are big fans of Mark Musk. I'm sorry, Elon Zuckerberg. I keep doing that. Elon Musk. So it's definitely always fun to kind of celebrate with them. And if you look at the chart here, let me pull up a Tesla chart. It is pretty freaking crazy what happened yesterday for Tesla. Up 10%, as the article shows, but let's give a little context to what that actually looks like on the chart. This is the 4-hour chart. You can see huge gap to the upside here, putting in that 10% and almost getting back up above $273 per share there for Tesla. So always excited to see some movement to the upside for the Musk man. Let's keep moving, though. Tim, did you have any thoughts on kind of where Tesla's positioning here?
No, I mean, I obviously love Elon Musk, love what he's doing there. I found myself in a rabbit hole yesterday on all the stuff between Elon and Bill Gates, where Bill Gates pretty much put in that massive short on Tesla, but then reached out to Elon Musk asking for money and then got his feelings hurt when Elon Musk said no, and then pretty much gave him a piece of his mind. And it was like the quote of like the story I was reading was like, Bill Gates says that Elon Musk was mean to him. And I was like, wow. That's okay. I didn't know we were at that level still, that we were talking about like backyard elementary school bullying. But I guess Elon Musk bullies Bill Gates by saying mean things. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny. Elon Musk is like, he's like a walking PR nightmare that just goes right every single time somehow. It's just, he has a way with words. Yeah. He has a way with image. Just things him to just bounce in his favor almost every single time. So I mean, people said that he shouldn't have bought Twitter, and now look what it is. It's still the number one place to get breaking news. It's still the number one place to go have a debate with somebody who might disagree with you, no matter how vehemently. and with how many expletives involved, but it is definitely the place still. And there was a lot of question. A lot of folks were like, "No, journalists are gonna hop off. They're gonna go get on Threads." I don't know that that's really been what we've seen. So anyway, Elon Musk, cool guy. We like him. Tesla's going up 10% yesterday. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But on a little bit of more of a somber note, Binance to airdrop $3 million to BNB, in BNB, excuse me, to users affected by Morocco earthquake. So if you didn't know, users, there was a very large earthquake in Morocco, and it's just wreaked havoc. And this comes at a time that's terrible because there was a lot of public outcry all over the world from other disasters. In Hawaii, they had the fires, right? And I believe Japan wrote some Hawaiians a check to be able to help out, right? But the elephant in the room is that there's a war on in Northern Europe. Maybe you've heard of it, right? And so a lot of aid is going there. I was also watching a documentary over the weekend about Guyana, and a lot of people there are starving because they relied on relief, like aid, food, medicine from the UN, and the UN is doing a lot of aid in Ukraine, right? So that war has a lot of ripple consequences, and one of the consequences is now that there's a bad outcome here, a earthquake in Morocco, that aid may not be there to help the Moroccan people. Well, Binance is stepping in, right? And they're airdropping $3 million. They're set to do that to the Moroccan people. It's pretty interesting.
The only thing I saw when I saw this story, which it's great. Like I love that CZ and Binance are trying to help out. I want to hear if anyone else is on the same line of thinking as me. When you're giving aid to someone who just has some sort of problem, they need to spend that money. Why did they do it in BNB? Because BNB is already kind of dropping, but even more so, when you send in BNB, the thought is that people are going to liquidate it to use it, which is going to plummet the price of BNB. I'm not plummet. I mean, $3 million, I guess it wouldn't be the worst in the world, but it's going to be negatively affecting the price unless BNB is thinking like, okay, that'll just bring in more volume. We'll make money on the volume and be able to put it back. I don't know. It was just an interesting thing. Why did they not do it in some sort of stable coin rather than BNB itself?
Yeah. I mean, really, I think functionally what it is CZ's really writing a check, an airdrop check for more like $98 because you're just going to get the BNB. You're going to pay the fee to convert it to USDC.
I guess, he also he only has control of airdropping BNB.
And the other thing too is I don't know what the situation is in Morocco, but there may be vendors that are willing to exchange BNB for bread, and sandwich meat and cheese that day. I don't know, but so I think it's a good move overall, that's for sure. And it's showing the world that, that these are the new rails, not just for payments, right? And highfalutin business transactions and things like that, but also for charity, right? And also like these companies Binance can react quickly and make things happen quickly. They don't need, the World Bank to clear $3 million to send to, a starving nation, right? They can do it themselves with the infrastructure they already have and just send it straight to your smartphone, and then you can go buy bananas the same day, right? So it's I think
the other thing, Alex Green says something like, because it's my concern isn't even just for the price of BNB, but Alex Green said CZ just wants to help. He doesn't care about the price, and has said that already. Why does the price of BNB matter when they make money in fees? Well, yeah, I mean, my kind of thought is almost like the people he's giving it to, by the time they liquidate it, like if an individual received $1,000 in BNB, by the time they go to liquidate it, they're not going to be able to liquidate $1,000 worth or whatever currency they need to liquidate into. It's going to get depreciated because as the selling happens, the price is going to keep going down and down and down and down and down. So I don't know. Interesting thing. We can move on from that story though. I think we've covered that well. Let us know in chat what you guys think though.
Yeah. Yeah, if you are in Morocco and you don't have a Binance account, this might be a good time because I don't think you're going to get it unless you do because you can't airdrop it to something that doesn't exist. Just something to point out for our Moroccan audience. All right, next story here. We won't spend too much time on this, and then we'll get to our factoid of the day. We'll get to that answer of where did Kadena find its origin? What company actually incubated Kadena. But before we do that, U.S. CFTC official pushes for a national financial fraud database. So Christy Goldsmith Romero, a commissioner of the CFTC, said in remarks at a conference that she is pushing for U.S. regulators to create a searchable, centralized database of financial misconduct that could make it easier for the public to arm themselves against fraudsters. So, Tim, I mean, people never want to be on a list, but is this maybe a time where the government should start a new list for the public to see?
I mean, I don't know. This one, I don't know. List of what exactly?
This would be a good question. This would be a comprehensive record that public can easily check before giving someone their money, their trust, and their business. She said in an industry conference, while some regulators compile databases of disciplinary actions or consumer complaints, there is no national database to make it easier to search across federal agencies or state regulators.
I just am not a fan of federal lists. I think that there's always something that they have to gain from it, and they're going to try to make it sound as rational and explainable as possible. But no, I'm not a fan of new lists. And again, this one, more than likely, I guarantee you there's going to be some form of a loophole to use these lists so they can access more private information, more details, have more control over what's happening there. So, yeah. Not a fan of it.
Yeah, I think it's probably not going to be as rosy as people who are proponents of it might be. I think it is. I think it's just something for the CFT to do, just to kind of show, hey, we're building momentum towards regulating this whole crypto industry, right? But it doesn't sound crypto specific necessarily. It's just kind of a wanted list. So anyway, and then Army Piper said, no. Yeah. Green companies will be front loaded.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's get to the trivia of the day, the factoid coming at you. What the L's have prepared. What company did Kadena start in? The answer is J.P. Morgan. So a lot of people were saying J.P. Morgan. It's the truth. Stuart Popejoy led J.P. Morgan's emerging blockchain group. He is now, the founder and CEO of Kadena. And there you go. That's our factoid of the day. Tim, what do you think about that?
Again, it was my second option. It was down between Circle and JP, and I guess wrong. So, good job, Elves. But once again, it was not D, and I've not seen D be the right answer just yet. So I'm looking for that to change one of these days.
Yeah,
looking for that to change. Let's go ahead and jump over to the charts though really quickly. By the way, though, guys, I have a special one pulled up because we got a super chat here just a little bit ago from Army Piper saying, "Tim, pull up that Gaussian channel on the weekly chart." Sure enough, that's what we are going to do. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, this is more of a Piper. It is one of his tools that he uses, but I know he's talked in the past very heavily about that midpoint. It looks like we just bounced not perfectly right off it, but pretty stinking close. That midline coming in around 24,600, give or take. We wicked down to about 24. I'll just scroll over it. We wicked down to about 24,900 was where we got to here on the Coinbase chart on the weekly. So out of curiosity, do we get lower? Let's try like Bitstamp. Did we get lower on that one? Doesn't look like we did. Let's go Binance. Did Binance get lower? Nope, not really. In fact, it looks like Coinbase actually is one of the lower ones as a whole. But yeah, so that Gaussian channel continues to be something that's important. But keep an eye on the bottom level of it. It's starting to curve to the upside now. So I know that it's when you go back in time, you kind of look at it. We did lose this back in 2020 due to COVID. But other than that, you guys can see we bounced back in December of 2019, almost perfectly right on that mid-level. Had a couple wicks. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can see this a little bit better. Had a couple of wicks go below it for sure back in December of 19. But as a whole, weekly candles closed right on top of that. And if it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have held that midline. So something to definitely keep your eyes on. Again, I cannot say, and anyone who says they know where price is doing with 100% certainty, they're fooling you. Nobody knows that. Not even Satoshi Nakamoto knows exactly what's going to happen. I'm still leaning, even after seeing this, though, of saying I think there's a chance that we're coming down towards the bottom of this. I still believe there's a lot of stuff in the market, both in the crypto world and in just the economics of how America's operating, how the rest of the world's operating. I still could see price getting back down here below $20,000. But this is something to absolutely keep your eyes on. It is a bullish sign for the moment. And again, price has bounced up here on the weekly chart. So thank you so much for that shout out, Piper. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Let's come down here, get down to the 4-hour chart here. Of course, you guys know our charts brought to you by Chart Prime. We use Chart Prime every single day. In my eyes, the best indicator in the field. Gave us a lot of good signs. So despite the fact that I still think price is going lower, and I do think we talked about earlier, there was a lot of liquidations here on Bitcoin. When you go to the 12-hour chart, almost 30 million just in the last 12 hours alone in shorts were liquidated. Chart Prime actually called this bottom pretty well. Here on the 4-hour chart, you can see we got that oversold box. What time was this when this kind of was flashing here? This looks like yesterday around 4 o'clock is probably when a lot of this stuff was flashing. 8 o'clock was when we got the green reversal. We had our MVP oscillator flashing green histograms. We came all the way down to 9 on the RSI. Oversold mixed with green triangle. We got a good bounce. Now, what's curious is that bounce took us higher than the 26,000 mark, which other than the fake out rally we had back here in September, it had been really, really hard to get a hold of. And at the moment here on the 4-hour chart, we are not seeing signs of reversal. On the hourly chart, we're starting to see some slowdowns. The RSI is definitely above 70, up towards 87, but could easily still move a little bit more to the upside. We had bearish divergence flash back here, but that got ignored. And now we did get a red reversal triangle right here at the peak we had back here. So maybe potentially we're hovering, but I think that there's actually a decent chance, guys, that we make a little bit higher of a push, maybe at least back up here to 26.5, give or take, maybe even a little higher. Let's take a look at some other indicators here. We did get a reversal on the hourly chart, though, mixing with that red triangle. So definitely want to keep our eyes on that. Doesn't mean we can't go up a little bit higher there, but it does potentially imply that this rally is short-term over. The other thing to think about when you're looking at these types of liquidations, this momentum of a liquidation was not as strong. Let me put on the indicators for just a second. So back on August 17th, I was actually reading an article about this morning. There was about $24 million of shorts liquidated when the wick hit down here towards 25.2 on Coinbase. Other exchanges, we got 24.7. And the price shot back up very, very quickly within the next couple of hours, all the way back up to 27,000 with only about $24 million worth of shorts liquidated. Well, when we move over here and we look at right now, this is not as big of an explosive move. If this is, in fact, the top, this 26.3, if we did peak out right there with over $30 million of shorts liquidated, that is not anywhere near as explosive enough of a rally. This could be a sign. Again, I posed this question last night, or this morning, on Twitter. Do we think this is the beginning of a fresh rally, or is this a little bit of a fake out? And it's too early to give a 100% answer for certain. There absolutely are indicators like we've shown you on the 4-hour chart, on that weekly chart, that was a good level to bounce. However, in the same way, we had almost $70 million worth of longs liquidated to shoot us down below this level with that increasing volume. Just a way too many people got overly zealous to enter shorts, and the experienced traders took advantage of that. Well, guess what? This morning, even though our crypto fear and greed index, our Bitcoin fear and greed index is sitting at 30, I'm fully expecting the rest of the day this is going to shoot back up. Watch people become way more positive. Even if you're exploring on Twitter right now, there's a lot of people saying, here we go, it's back on, back up to 30K, and watch the whales, because there was really no bullish news or catalyst to do this. This was simply a expert trader move to take some shorts away from inexperienced traders. I would not be surprised to see this continue to come and push to the downside. Let's take a look at the daily chart. There was another thing that I was looking at the other day here on the Bollinger Bands where we started to have some constriction. Guess what? After we moved the Bollinger Bands just barely, we shot back up to where? right about the 20 SMA. We're not necessarily breaking anything bullish. We're just retesting resistance levels. So we're still seeing constriction happen in the daily chart. We're not seeing the Bollinger Bands really break up and say that an explosive move has happened. So for this reason, I think this is a lot more to do with just heavy volatility than it has to do with predicting that a rally is back on. Some other things I'm looking at here on the daily chart, the SMA, and I'm going to move on and look at some other charts here in just a second. Guess what we just had yesterday? And I tried to prepare you guys because chaos comes in with the FOMO and FUD. Yesterday, during that big dip, we got that death cross that we've been talking about. This is the 50 daily SMA that just crossed below the 200 SMA. And they're going to try to use this to scare people into shorting. Sure enough, people shorted really, really hard. Traders took advantage of that. But here's the problem. I kind of had a discussion earlier this morning with some of my coworkers here. The reason why death crosses are so stupid and they're just not reliable whatsoever is because their success rate is about 50%. What that means is that they're right 50% of the time, meaning a death cross moves us into bearish price action about 50% of the time, and it moves us into bullish price action 50% of the time. 50-50 is the epitome of useless. I would rather a death cross, despite the fact it has a bad name, it's like if we could say 70% of death crosses actually result in bullish momentum, then at least we could use it as a bullish indicator, and it probably wouldn't have the name death cross. Death crosses, though, are useless, in my opinion, guys, useless indicators, but I do understand that retail investors who don't know any better respond to them. And so for those reasons, I'm looking at the pump this morning. While I'm maybe surprised we got above 26,000, I'm not necessarily surprised to see over $30 million of shorts liquidated because it's just a simple move. That does lead me, however, though, to believe that this is also part of a play to continue to push price to the downside because there's so many people so gullible to follow whatever the most recent move is. Let's take down that SMA. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, guys, because something interesting is happening on Bitcoin dominance. We have had this level of resistance since the peak back in June when we were up almost to 53%, 52 point something. On different charts that has different things. We are breaking through that very, very strongly this morning. Of course, we talked about that during the coin market cap open. We looked at Bitcoin moving higher than most of the other top 20. Honestly, the only coins that really threaten Bitcoin's dominance are the top ones like Bitcoin and XRP. And sorry, I said Bitcoin, like Ethereum and XRP and Matic and others. We are seeing Bitcoin outpacing these. And even if they move at the same level, like, for example, if everything moves up by 1%, so much more money had to come into Bitcoin than other coins. For that reason, you're going to see Bitcoin dominance rise. Now, I've told you guys before, I am becoming I'm not saying that 60% is impossible. I do think 60% is hard. I think that I have this fear that we're only going to make it to about 57. Of course, a lot of you guys know I have a stake bet with DZ that if Bitcoin makes it to 60%, he has to cook me a steak. Or if we hit a new all-time high before Bitcoin hits 60%, I have to make him a steak. Don't really want to cook him a steak. I still think we have higher to go on Bitcoin dominance. I have not given that up. I just want to see how much momentum we can really push there. Either way, though, we are seeing, especially you come down towards lower charts. Let's go all the way down to the 1 hour chart. I got to pull up my oscillators here. Boom. You are seeing us start to make a very bullish move where we're avoiding a lot of these Christmas tree ornaments that are bearish. All of these are screaming overbought, 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 and yet we keep pushing to the upside. We keep coming down, regrouping. We technically did have some bearish divergence here, but just like I was talking about earlier with Bitcoin, that divergence kind of got ignored, and we're still pushing to the upside, even on the hourly chart. Now, I'm not expecting just an overnight boom up to a higher 50%. I'm not expecting a boom up to 52% again anytime soon. I think it's still going to be a long climb. I think we got a long rest of September and October before we actually see bottoms on the prices of Bitcoin. Again, you guys know, I believe we're probably more than likely coming back down to fill the Bitcoin CME gap. Let me go to the daily chart. That's really hard to see on the hourly chart and take down my oscillators. You guys know that I still believe we're going to go sub 20,000, fill this CME gap. But we got a long time left to do that. Today's only the 12th. We have more than half of September left and pretty much all of October. I think that bottom, that sub $20,000 level is going to happen sometime at the end of October. So that's the stuff I'm looking at here with Bitcoin, guys. Again, bullish day to day, even maybe has some room to the upside. but I'm not convinced of this being a sustained bullish move unless something crazy happens the next couple of days. We have CPI numbers tomorrow. Our CPI numbers really favorable. Is there some new news with like an acceleration of information coming into the Bitcoin ETFs? That stuff could change my mind, but for right now, not really change my mind on being super bullish. Let's take a look at some of these altcoins though really quickly. Cardano, a fan favorite here on the channel. I even see people in chat talking about it. Although I see Silverman 183 says Cardozo.
Cardanzo.
Well, there's no N in there, so maybe he meant Cardanzo. I think he thinks Cardozo because he said something about 57, which is not a price relative to Cardano whatsoever. But Cardano, of course, had a big dip yesterday. Came all the way down below 24 cents, down to 23.6 cents. And of course, they're rallying a little bit here, technically a little bit better of a rally than what Bitcoin has, but not significant. And again, unlike Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is more coming back up to retest and get back above some levels we were at the other day, Cardano is continuing to set these lower highs here. There's actually, even if I were to go down to the 4-hour chart, you're going to see a little bit of a trend kind of happening here with Bitcoin price setting some resistance, going back to this peak right here. Keep an eye out for as price gets back up towards that blue line on Cardano. That could continue to serve as some resistance here. Let's take a look at what oscillators are saying. Just like the Bitcoin, kind of sitting in similar spots. Got a lot of oversolds. Got our MVP oscillator flashing green. RSI was all the way down at 8. So you're liking what you're seeing there. Some other stuff that I want to do that doesn't even have to do with chart prime. Let's take a look at some Fibonacci levels as well. Of course, we did get some significant bounces here. Where's my Fibonacci? There we go. Let's go to this wick back here. Let's go all the way up to the peak. You guys can see we kind of had a bounce almost at that lower level of our platinum pocket, right? Wrestling with the upper band of that platinum pocket. So that is something definitely to keep your eyes on, even zooming in as we get a little closer, which I got to delete this because I want to look at it in a smaller time frame. Let's go down to the 1-hour chart and let's zoom in here really nicely and take a look at a shorter angle, kind of going back to the last significant peak here around almost 28 cents. Down to this bottom. We are kind of hovering. We rejected right around the 0.382. Watch for maybe a push up to the 0.5 level up here at 25.7. If we still get some bullish momentum, could be an interesting spot. If we break that, we have the golden pocket up at 26.4, but I would expect that to be more of a look where we break through and we're actually starting to find some support and we make our way over here. But again, I think Cardano following Bitcoin, especially in a season right now where Bitcoin is picking up some steam in the dominance. Let's keep moving on here. Let's look at ADA over Bitcoin, see what that chart is looking like this morning. Go up to the 4-hour. Let me zoom this out so we get a clearer picture here. You can see that we are moving to the downside. We're setting lower highs, lower lows here since back on August 20th. Let's take a look at what the oscillator is saying. Have some oversold, flashes right here, but these most recent ones are not flashing necessarily oversold. That's definitely a sign that further price action to the downside. This is Cardano over Bitcoin could continue here. Not what you're wanting to see if you're rooting against Bitcoin dominance here. Let's look at some others. Ethereum over Bitcoin. Let's see what that chart is looking like. Pulling up. That one's super low. RSI super low as it's loading. Came all the way down to 7, it looks like, or 6, it looks like. Come on and load for me, charts. There we go. Some oversold flashes a little early, but that is kind of close to the bottom. Maybe we see a little bit of an emergence here with Ethereum. You guys know I'm kind of tracking here. I thought that we were going to be moving back to the downside. We're in a long-term falling wedge, but do we potentially still keep falling with Ethereum down to support levels down here to 0.05 or so? Again, get closer here towards the end of October. Maybe some over here before a bullish breakout is still what I'm looking at here. We don't look at these charts too crazy often, but they are important to keep your eyes on. Not just what these prices are doing over the US dollar, but also what they're doing over Bitcoin is very, very important. So yeah, I'm seeing at T-shirt, I'm still seeing there's some indecision. It's not like we're sitting at a perfect level of resistance or support, but I still am looking at the way the markets are moving. You start with Bitcoin and then you kind of move out from there. I'm still seeing a lot of signs of these charts have further room to the downside. Let's take on XRP this morning while we're over here. I'm going to go down the 4-hour chart because daily, we're continuing to ignore. There's another strong sign for bears, guys. Daily chart, we're ignoring these Christmas tree ornaments, moving to the downside, this fresh new bottom, which you guys might not be able to see very well because I'm not zoomed in very well. Fresh new bottom, not getting our MVP oscillators green. Yes, the RSI is low, but our chart prime oscillator, not that crazy low. Let's see what 4 hours saying. Are we getting a bounce here? RSI coming in nice with an engulfing candle. Yep. Okay. So similar to Bitcoin, we got that oversold at the bottom. Very, very nice. Hourly chart. Let's see. Are we getting closer to being overextended? I think we have, again, a little bit more room to the upside potentially here, just like Bitcoin did. But we did just get that red reversal coming in here on the hourly chart for XRP as well. I'd be very surprised to see it conquer back above 50 cents for XRP. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. But guys, that is the TA for today. It is 9:55 now. I'm looking at our poll, T-Shroom, as we have 5 minutes left here. It started very heavily. People wanted the stories first.
Yeah.
Now it's about 50-50. It's 51% TA first. It actually always leans towards TA, 49% stories first. Clearly, there's some thought. I think something. Let us know in chat what you guys think about this, and we'll probably ask this more tomorrow. What would you guys think about starting maybe with the biggest story? Maybe we start the economic data, then the biggest story, and then we go into TA kind of in the middle, and then end with stories. I just know there's a lot of people who do they come in, they want to hear the news, especially if it's the big juicy stuff, and then jumping into charts. Maybe we got into charts a little bit too late here, T-Shroom, but I do think that I like the flow of at least covering a big story or two in the beginning. Let us know in chat what you guys think here. And as we're closing out the show, let's engage with you guys just a little bit. Did we get to our 100 likes, T-Shroom? That's another important question. We did. Oh, we smashed it.
Oh, yeah. Big
60.
time.
160. Let's read some names, and I'm going to read some chat here. Blockchain RWA says Chainlink TA. Let me take a quick look at Chainlink because that's not going to take me that long.
Let's do it.
Find it. Link. I love Chainlink. I think Chainlink's going to be something very, very interesting. Oh, I love that too. You guys know if you go out to the daily chart, I've been tracking the support level, even though we got below it back here in June. Anytime you're seeing price get back down to these levels around $5.69, I think you're looking at a good buy. Looks like we're kind of hovering there with some support there. Did just get a red reversal on the daily chart. Let's see what the 4-hour chart's saying. Kind of similar to Bitcoin, oversold. Got our green histograms, hourly chart. Let's see what they're saying. Oh, yeah. Hourly chart saying we're going to reverse here. Yeah, so might be able to scoop up some more juicy link down here in these lower levels. Coming back out, let's go to the 4-hour chart really quickly here. You guys are going to see, I can just tell you right now, there's going to be a significant level right in here. Coming down here, almost touching down towards that platinum pocket. Would not be surprised as we're sitting right below the golden pocket to be rejected right here. Again, we are seeing the rejection anyway. Maybe coming back down here, 557, platinum pocket, officially touching it. If I were to move it up to this bottom, we've already touched it. So you can make an argument that we should ignore that wick and just come up to this bottom back on June 19th, in which case we're bouncing off that platinum pocket. But I still think, again, long term, watch even for that bottom level around 530. I think we're going to see some lower levels here on Link coming in. But yeah, sitting kind of similar to Bitcoin this morning, but we are seeing hourly chart telling us some reversals. So good pick there. Let's go back to Brocam. Hopefully, blockchain RWA, that helps you out there. Let's see some other people. IC Profits is here. Good to see it. Elliot Locke is here. Silverman 183 said, I just got 3.5 Chainlink, saving up to get 3.9. Sounds like you are thinking like Deezy. Deezy always makes jokes that he has he always starts by saying he has 7, then 6, then 5. He always lowers how much Chainlink he actually owns, but he loves Chainlink. Other people here, Reboot says news affects TA, so it might make more sense. I think he's saying to do the news first. I think is what Reboot is saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but thank you so much, Reboot. Monsieur Ski is here. Sounds good. The big story, then TA. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense, and I think that's what Reboot is even referring to here. T-Shroom.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Elliot Locke for helping out my mom in the chat. For those of you who don't know, Susan Trum, she is the Mama Shroom, and she is learning how to tag people in the chat today. And this is another, I want to just highlight the community. For folks who are new to YouTube, using YouTube chat, Elliot Locke, a member of our community, a key bro, a high key bro is jumping in and helping out the Mama Shroom. So we love it. Love to see it.
There we go. Yeah, let's read some other names, some other chat. Gia S, shout out to you with that red badge and blue wrench. We love Gia S. Blockchain RWA says, Tim, are you still at Hit Network? I am still at Hit Network, and obviously you guys know there's a lot of chaos going on, and we've referenced it, and here on Investing Bros, guys, we're not gonna talk details. I'm a big believer. I put a tweet last night, guys, about truth. Truth truth always finds a way to make its way out. People are going to think one way or the other. I'm kind of seeing the boat, and T-Shroom and I have said it over and over again. No matter what you guys think about anything, to pit people against people and to say you can't wish the best for both sides is just wrong. I wish the absolute best. I still love Ben. I want the best for Ben, but I also love TJ and I love Hit Network. And I also know that there were a ridiculous amount of hard decisions that have been made over the last couple of weeks that I do not envy anyone's decision making. And, I'm going to kind of leave it at that. Like, I'm still here. This is where I work. But we're going to continue to keep the Investing Bros going and continue to keep the positivity over here. So thank you for your support, Blockchain RWA. And for everybody else, I don't know when, how, or what. I do think there's going to be more details coming out at some point, but you're not going to hear it from this channel. That's just not what we're going to talk about here. So thank you so much, guys. Alex Green is here this morning. Let's read some other names. Elo Brown says headlines first, full story, second half. Interesting. So you just cover the headlines and kind of tease what they are. That's a good idea. I like that one.
Likes a good tease.
Yeah. Alex Green said, yeah, sure. News, TA, and then some more news. I think that's a good one. Silverman183 said, great show. Thanks, bros. Love the show. Crypto Mini Bike is here. I'm trying to do TA on Cardano. Just hodl and wait for it to break out again. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys. When it comes to Cardano, again, I'd still do TA on it. But it's one that's a little harder. I think 18 cents is coming, but with how strong and kind of chaotic sometimes the Cardano community acts, they pump at certain times that you wouldn't expect them to pump, and they drop at certain times you wouldn't expect them to drop. So it is one that is, I'll just admit this, guys, as somebody who thinks I'm pretty good at technical analysis, Cardano is like riding a bucking bronco when it comes to the TA. It's not what I like to trade. I'm simply an investor when it comes to Cardano. I stopped trading Cardano about a year ago after losing so many trades in a row because it sometimes can be very hard. If anything, what you do is like trade Cardano based off of Bitcoin signals is maybe another way to go about it. Let's see. Ryan Kessler says TA first, then news. That will stagger with Jeb. Well, I don't think we're ever going to overlap Jeb. I think Jeb goes live at about 10 a.m. That's one of the reasons why we end. Oh, which speaking of is 10:01. So I don't want to overlap him. So we're going to close this out here. But good point though, Ryan. Love that. Guys, it is 10:01, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you to everyone who is here. You guys have been phenomenal. I saw we got over 200 concurrent today.
It's awesome.
Thank you so much for that. Continue on your way out to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys loved the Investing Bros this morning. We'll see you tomorrow. All of our silver members will see you today at 3 p.m. for our bro time. If you want to join that, hit that join button down below. With that being said, though, see you guys tomorrow. What the heck?
Is Ether a commodity or a security?
What the heck?
Without speaking to anyone.
This is live.
I know you've
Okay.
repeatedly
He's asking
said
the
you're
exact
not
same
a Bitcoin,
question.
Except you've
Oh
spoken
my
on
gosh,
Bitcoin.
what a
So
liar.
I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12.
Just kidding. All right, bye, guys.
Tryna make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got your word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Tryna make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.